to FCS to now an FBS program. You knew that this was going to be your next level. How would you describe this just entire process so far?
It was definitely a lot, from entering the transfer portal to ending up at Florida State. It was a huge process, just that little bit. And then when you add in the high school part, the FCS part, it becomes a big journey in such a short amount of time.
Next, Ira Shafel with Warchant.
Hey, Jared, welcome to Tallahassee. It sounded like from some of the comments I've seen from you that Keir Thomas and Jermaine Johnson really had an impact on you. Could you tell us a little bit about what they said and why that resonated with you?
Yeah. When I came on my official visit, I met with Jermaine before I met with Keir, and me and him sat down. We talked. We spoke for an hour or so, and he told me about his decision to come here. He believed in Coach Norvell, his vision. He was a truthful guy. He didn't lie to me at all. He told me the good, the bad, everything about Florida State. What he liked, what he didn't like, and the fact that a player was that honest with me, versus most other schools where it might have been just trying to get me there. He kind of told me everything. And Keir, I got to spend a little bit of time with him later that afternoon. We got to sit down. We talked more of just the lifestyle of Florida State, and it was something that did appeal to me too.
Next up, Brendan Sinone with 247.
Hey Jared, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks. So for the last month, I guess how would you describe that process from the time you entered the transfer portal to making the decision? Was it fun? Was it chaotic? I guess what was that month like for you?
The best way to describe it is overwhelming. Coming out of high school, I wasn't really highly recruited, but then entering the transfer portal, a lot of colleges came at me in such a short amount of time. My family had to help me. I leaned on them for a lot of support, to help me kind of organize everything. But, towards the end, when I kind of got close to making my decision, it became more fun.
Kurt Weiler, Tallahassee Democrat.
At the end of such an overwhelming month, I guess, what was it, aside from maybe Jermaine, Keir, seeing their impact, talk to them, that swayed you towards Florida State?
Coach Norvell. Coach Norvell and Coach JP got me swayed completely here. Sitting down with them, seeing Coach Norvell's vision, what Coach JP could do for me, but what I could do for the program. That was definitely what swayed my decision the most, besides Jermaine and Keir.
Brendan?
With the overwhelmingness of the process before it got fun, what was the peak of the overwhelmingness for you? Was there a certain day where just all these offers coming? Was there something that kind of stood out where you were particularly overwhelmed?
Yeah, because throughout the whole process, you have to say no to a couple coaches, and this is a business at the end of the day. So it kind of became hard for me, At one day, I think I got a bunch of calls from coaches asking me to come visit, and you only get 5, and I think I already used 4 at the time. And I wasn't planning on really using my 5th. I had to tell a lot of coaches, I don't really plan on using it and everything like that. I don't plan on coming to your school and everything, kind of breaking down, thank you for your interest, but I can't, take further interest in you.
Aslan with Warchant.
Jared, can you give us kind of the cliff notes of your life here, man? How does a kid from the middle of Pennsylvania end up going to the University of Albany and then has pretty much every major college knocking on his door over here for the last 30 days or so? I mean, was there a late growth spurt? Did people sleep on you in the recruiting process? I mean, how would you like to think you ended up at this point right now?
It was kind of a mixture of both. I was kind of slept on, but I wasn't really the biggest out of high school. I think I was probably about 6'3", 210 pounds. But, during, I think it was quarantine, I gained about 30 pounds of muscle just off working out a lot and everything like that. Came back to Albany, I was a lot bigger. And then, from there on, it just entered the transfer portal.
Back to Ira.
So obviously, you had gotten bigger and performed well at Albany, but did you have any idea when you went in the portal that you'd get that much attention and those kinds of schools calling?
I never had any doubt in my ability. It was a shock, though, to see, all these schools that every high schooler dreams of having come at you while you're in college. So it was kind of a shock, but I wasn't too shocked where it was world-changing.
Brendan?
To go back to it, Jared, you said you gained 30 pounds while on quarantine, like at home, so you're just at home working out pretty much?
Yeah, my dad went out and bought a bunch of workout equipment. We stocked up on a lot of different proteins and everything, and I just gained a lot of muscle, a lot of strength throughout that whole time. I think it was that 9-10 months that we were in quarantine.
Brendan?
follow up to the follow up. So you mentioned protein and whatnot. So what was the diet like to put on 30 pounds in that specific window?
It was a lot of, like, every morning I'd make basically the same breakfast: eggs, bacon, ham, potatoes, yogurt, cereal. That was basically the same thing. Every lunch was just a sandwich or anything. And then my mom or dad would usually make meatloaf or ham, like a bigger protein-filled dinner. And then I'd have like a snack late at night, and then my protein shakes throughout the day. And would do the same thing the next day.
Ira?
You mentioned Coach JP. What about him did you like, and what's it been like getting to know him better since you've been here?
Getting to know him since I've been here, it's been, you never get the full feel of a coach while you're getting recruited. But he's given me a very similar approach since I've been here. It's not like he changed completely like some coaches would do. I got here, he was the same person. He gave me the same energy. And one thing he told me before I recruited here is if I did come here, he would give me his best every day. And since I've been here, he's done nothing less.
Aslan?
Is it more exciting or anxious when you see what Jermaine Johnson did? I think the expectation is going to probably follow you here, Jared, in case you haven't picked up on it, that, what he did in 1 year as a transfer is going to kind of be expected from you. Is that something that's exciting for you, or do you think he'll bring something different and that might not be exactly what your game is going to be for Florida State in 2022?
I find it very exciting. I like when people have high expectations of me because I try to exceed them every time. Whether I do or whether I don't, I'm going to give my best, and however that ends up is how it ends up.
Ira?
Did you, Florida State's defensive line had a really good season last year. Did you get a chance to watch any of that? I guess, during the process, did you go back and watch how they played to kind of get a feel for how you might fit in?
I saw some brief film. I can't say I got to extensively see it. In the coming weeks, I will fully evaluate the film, but I got to see a couple clips here and there, maybe 5-10 minutes worth.
Aslan?
Jared, you mentioned how difficult the recruiting process was just in terms of having to tell coaches, where you're going to go and such. Was it tough to tell Albany that you were leaving? This whole transfer portal thing is so brand new, and that's a program that took a chance on you, and now here comes big old Florida State taking you away from Albany. Was that a tough conversation, or did it all kind of make sense to everybody involved?
A little bit of both. Before I left for Thanksgiving break, my coach pulled me aside, and I never spoke about it to him at all. He was like, "We all know you're thinking about it." And I went off the break. I kind of thought about it. I came back and I sat down with him. I said, "Coach, here's my mindset. I am going to transfer." And it was hard because he was my coach the whole time there. My coach, Coach Nessel, the D-line coach there. It was hard to tell him because, he was a guy I built a really close relationship with. We're very close. I talk to him every day still. But it was a very hard conversation. It was tough to tell them, but I think they understood where I was going at the end of the day.
Brendan?
What are your initial impressions, Jared, of the tour of duty and getting kind of acclimated to that, and then just the strength and conditioning staff? I know it's been a limited amount of time you've gotten to work with them, but so far, I guess, what have been your takeaways from that group?
The tour of duty, people told me it was hard, but being in it is a whole different conversation. The high intensity, the perfection is very highly expected. You're supposed to be not perfect, but try your hardest, and that's something I really love. The strength coaches and everything, that's a whole conversation. I love them. I've worked with them very closely the past days I've been here. I've gotten some really good work in with them. I feel like being here is going to bring me to that next level.
Ira?
Not asking you to slight Albany or what they could offer, but going to an FBS program and a school with more resources, what's that been like? Has there been anything that, since you've been here, where you just feel like, okay, this is a little bit different level than what I was accustomed to?
There's quite a few things where it's a different level. Just from the resources, the facilities, an FBS to an FCS, or an FCS to an FBS is a whole different thing, no matter where you go. But the facilities are a lot, I don't want to say better, but they're a lot more, there's a lot more money put into them. You can get a lot more from it. And that's one of the first things I noticed when I got here.
Ira?
And then I just wanted to ask about some of the older players that are here, especially on the defensive line. Have those guys, Fabian Lovett, Robert Cooper, have you built a relationship with those guys, and what kind of things have they been sharing with you since you've been here?
I haven't gotten to build a close relationship with anyone yet, being here not even a week yet. But I've gotten to speak with them. We have talked about our goals for next season, pick up where they left off last season, build upon it, try to make a whole different conversation out of it, make an ACC run, ACC championship run, But that's about all we've spoke about so far.